Hello, I'm Paul Smith. I hope you are very well. I want to cover in a series of 4 short videos, no more than 10 minutes each, how you can take advantage of one of the biggest cash flow and tax reduction opportunities of your lifetime. Whether you own property, whether you don't own property, this is for you. So I'm talking to every single person in the UK. Increasingly, over time, it's become more and more difficult to be a landlord. So I want to show you how to make more money, keep more of it by paying less tax, and use less of your valuable time, whether you actually own property or not, over these series of 4 videos. In this first video, I am focusing more on somebody that is a landlord already rather than isn't. But listen on, you're going to learn a lot whether you're a landlord or not. Many landlord meetings that I go to, I ask this simple question. I get the landlords to play along with me a little bit, just have a little bit of a game, but it's serious. So imagine the scene. I've got 40 or 50 landlords in a room. I'm talking to them and I'll ask them this simple question. Can you please raise your hand if you're a landlord and you've got some tenants? And if you're in a property meeting, 40 out of the 50 people, 45 out of the 50 people are going to put their hand up. Okay, keep your hand up nice and high if you've never ever had a tenant issue of any kind. Bash, all down. Late payment of rents, damage to properties, voids. So how would you like a solution to that problem that gives you more cash flow, pay less tax, and no tenant issues ever again? And every single landlord in that room, and I'm betting a lot of people the other side of this lens, say, yeah, I'm interested in that. Well, I'm now going to introduce you to the biggest cash flow opportunity of your lifetime. It's called serviced accommodation. And that might sound difficult and complex. I'm going to share with you stories of people, examples, case studies of people that have actually done it. So if you like the idea of that, listen on. So here's the scenario. Many landlords, maybe they got a job, maybe it's even a good job, a professional job, and they're making good money. But the thing is, they got into property because they wanted extra money, not extra hassle. And despite the fact they got property, they're still living paycheck to paycheck. They haven't got enough money to get to the next paycheck without using their credit cards. So if that's you, I want to give you a solution. It makes them feel almost inadequate. They've worked really hard. They've got a good job. They've become a property investor and they're trying to look after their family. They're trying to raise children. They're trying to look after their loved ones, but it's not quite adding up. Because never mind what the tenant does, what about the government? The government keeps introducing more taxes, loss of mortgage interest rate relief, Section 24, extra stamp duty. I can give you a solution that makes all of that go away. All of it go away. All of those anti-landlord taxes, all of those tenant problems completely goes away. And I want to introduce you to a good friend of mine now, Pamela. She's taken the steps to start operating service accommodation. And she'll even tell you in this short video coming up that she didn't think it would work. She was considering other options. This is my favorite piece in the video when she says, never mind everything else, never mind the fact that she's making £800 a month cash flow profit from a property that used to not make her any money. And with all the new taxes, she was actually going to start losing money. Never mind that. Just listen for the part where she talks about Jamaica and listen for the part where she talks about what happened in Jamaica. Okay, so I'm going to be back, but I'm going to hand you over to Pamela right now.
My name is Pamela Grayson and I live here in Leeds. I've been doing service accommodation now since August 2017. I've had this house since year 2000. I rented this one out as a single let up until February of 2017. And then with all the tax changes, I was actually going to sell it because the previous tenants that I had actually didn't look after the property. They wouldn't let maintenance men in. This house was actually damp quite badly. Tenants were saying that it was the house. There wasn't sufficient heating in the house. They'd have the dryer on, the ironing and everything else. The kitchen was a state, the bathroom was a state. I had to renovate the property again, and I was actually going to put the house up for sale. So I didn't see any opportunities. My only thoughts was, I'm going to sell it. I did the refurb and then I attended the course in June, of the service accommodation course in June 2017. And then I thought, I'm going to give it a year. Well, I actually said I'm going to give it 6 months and see if it works, because I didn't actually believe it works. And after done a full year of service accommodation, I decided, well, yes, it works. and I actually love it. Since I've been doing it, which is, as I say, been August 2017, 2017, there's been no major issue. There might be the odd little things, but there's been no major issue with guests, and that's a lot of that has been down to the training that I've got. I don't get anybody coming for parties. Most of my guests that are here are long term. As I said, I've currently got guests here at the moment, and they're here for 3 weeks, but that's quite a short period. They're often 6 weeks, 10 weeks. The guests that I do get tend to be here for a long period of time. But again, I think that's because if I had not had the training, I probably would have gone down the road of just doing it as one night. So the amount of work that I've had to do as running it as a service accommodation has been a lot less in terms of the maintenance, and how much it's actually cost me since in terms of repairs has been minimal. When I was running it as a single let, I was barely coming out with anything, and that's the reason why I was looking at renting it, because by the time you take out all your expenses in terms of the mortgage, and in fact when the mortgage, before the interest rate dropped, I was putting money into the property because it was costing me to have the house. And then as the mortgage interest rates dropped, I was just barely coming out with, probably £100, £150 a month. Now it goes from 500 to, as I said, and that's, I'd say on average, I'm doing about £800 profit a month just on this one. Well, what really surprised me is one of the things that service accommodation has allowed me to do. It's allowed me to go to Jamaica twice this year. While I was in Jamaica in July, I actually got a booking for £6,000, which, seeing that when you're on holiday, you see that ping up on your phone, you're thinking, wow. After I danced around a bit and calmed down, that was a booking for 10 weeks for £6,000. On that particular one, I was making 1,300 a month on that one. But I am due to do a rent-to-rent course with Touchstone in January, later on this month, so that I can expand the business. It is very different doing service accommodation to buy-to-let, but the rewards are far greater. As I said, if I was to keep this as a single, I wouldn't have kept it as a single let. There wasn't enough in it, and then obviously with the changes in the tax, it would have ended up costing me. I would have been having to work to pay for this property rather than the property paying me.
So what do you think to Pamela and what she's done? Absolutely fabulous lady and very sensible head on her shoulders. She didn't go rushing in assuming this was going to work. She actually assumed the opposite. She assumed it wasn't going to work. And she surprised herself. Did you hear she said she was going to give it 6 months? And a year later, when she did the numbers, she'd been making a minimum of £500 a month. And on average, she said she'd be making £800 a month. And what about that £6,000 booking while she was on holiday? How would that make you feel? No Section 24, no extra stamp duty, none of this tenant problems. Did you hear what she was talking about in terms of the previous tenant said it wasn't warm enough and it was damp because they had the washer dryer on, they were drying things on the radiators, weren't opening the windows, and her new guests don't do that. Now, the average guest, if you don't know what you're doing, is only going to stay for 2 or 3 days. But she said she's done the course and she knows how to get guests for longer. She said she's got a guest staying at the moment for a few weeks, and that is a short booking. I love it. Well done, Pamela. And she's coming back again and she's going to get more units. Absolutely perfect. I want to give you a tip now. If you're thinking, is service accommodation for me? Should I look at this? People call themselves tired landlords or exhausted landlords, one of the two. And you want to find out if service accommodation is interesting for you. I want you to do this for me. I want you to go on to booking.com for your area, and I want you to look for properties similar to yours. So if you've got, a 3-bed house or a 4-bed house, I want you to look for properties specifically for your area that sleep 6 people or 8 people. Because a 3-bed house, 3 double bedrooms, either doubles or twins, a 4-bed house, 6 to 8 people. And go and find the most expensive prices on booking.com that you can. And now I want you to do this calculation. Take the rent that you've been charging and divide it by 30. because that is your night rate. If like Pamela, you're in Leeds, or if like me, you've got a lot of properties in Doncaster, a typical price for a 3 or 4 bedroom house is going to be £600, £700, maybe £800 top end as a buy-to-let. But let's keep it easy, let's call it £600. £600 divided by 30 is £20 a night. Does that make sense? So go and have a look on booking.com and see how much per night you could get if you turned it into service accommodation instead of a buy-to-let. All right, so we're coming to the end of this short video now, and I want to ask you a favour. If you've enjoyed this content, please literally like it, click the like button, make a comment. And the second thing I'd like you to do, please, is share it with your friends. Please share it with 2, 3, 4 people. Don't share it with 400 people. Just think about who else might be interested in what this video and what Pamela has got to share with them. Please make sure that you watch out for the second, and the third and the fourth video in this series. They're going to be released very, very shortly. So I want to give you a sneak preview into the second video of this series. Because you know I said at the start, this is relevant to you if you own property or if you don't. Well, the second video addresses precisely that. This video has been about turning a buy-to-let into a service accommodation unit. The next video in this series is specifically aimed at you if you don't have any properties. We're going to show you how to take other tired landlords' properties and turn them into service accommodation units. And I think you're going to love it. I'm going to introduce you to a guy called Lee who's done exactly that. Look out for video number 2 coming up very shortly. You've been wonderful. I've been Paul. See you next time.